Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, thanking each and every one of you for coming back and joining me here once again in the theater. Now, for today's film, we're going to take a look at a television film that turns 25 years old today. The film was directed by Emilio Estevez and stars Estevez alongside his brother Charlie Sheen, as well as Jeffrey Blake, Tracy Hutson, Megan Ward, Terry O'Quinn, and many others. Now, the film is based on the nonfiction book X-Rated by David Macomber, and it chronicles the story of the Mitchell brothers, Jim and Artie, who were pioneers in the adult film industry and strip club businesses in the San Francisco, California area during the 70s and the 80s. The film focuses on the making of the most profitable film, entitled Behind the Green Door, and it also portrays Artie's descent into drug addiction. Now, as our movie opens, the Mitchells' father, Robert, known as Bob, played by Terry O'Quinn, is a professional gambler from Oklahoma. And he and his wife, Georgia May, played by Deborah Grover, settle in Antioch, California, which is near San Francisco. Jim and Artie, played by Taylor Estevez and Robert Clark respectively, had a relatively stable childhood as the boys were popular, and some of their childhood friends even became important members of their adult film empire. They both attended public schools and graduated from Antioch High School. Jump forward a few years, and Jim, now played by Emilio Estevez, is a part-time filmmaking student at San Francisco State University during the mid-1960s, aspiring to become an important director like Roman Polanski. While in school, he works at the Follies, a cinema that shows brief, plotless films that feature naked performers. And he observes the fact that each night the theater is filled with men seeking to pleasure themselves just because of the on-screen nudity. Therefore, he perceives adult entertainment as a potentially lucrative career opportunity for himself and Artie, now played by Charlie Sheen, who has since been discharged from the United States Army. In 1969, with the help of Artie's Ivy League-educated wife, Meredith Bradford, played by Megan Ward, the brothers fulfilled their ambitions by leasing and renovating a dilapidated two-story building at 895 O'Farrell Street, which they converted into the O'Farrell Theater, a movie theater with a makeshift film studio upstairs. They also proceed to rent a larger facility at 991 Tennessee Street, in which they want to shoot some of their films. Nevertheless, even their fans conceded that the Mitchells' movies ranged in quality from mediocre to absolutely atrocious. Jim Mitchell once quipped, quote, "The only art in adult films is my brother." The Mitchells opened the O'Farrell Theater on July 4th, 1969, and they were confronted almost immediately by the authorities. Over the years, they would open other X-rated movie houses in California and spend time in court and money on lawyers in order to stay open, as indignant locals and officials repeatedly tried to shut them down. They became incorporated as Cinema 7, which was headquartered in the manager's offices at the O'Farrell Theater. And in 1972, they produced one of the world's first famous feature-length adult films, Behind the Green Door, starring an unknown Ivory Snow girl, Marilyn Chambers, played by Tracy Hutson, in her adult film debut. The movie, which was produced for $60,000, grossed over $25 million. The Mitchells then rode the adult film chic wave, using some of their Green Door profits to produce fairly lavish adult films, including The Resurrection of Eve in 1973, Sodom and Gomorrah: The Last 7 Days in 1975, CB Mamas, and The Autobiography of a Flea, both from 1976, and Never a Tender Moment and Beyond Desaad, both from 1979. Now, in the mid-1970s, low-level organized crime began to make unauthorized copies of the Mitchell brothers' movies, and the brothers retaliated in the legal system. When one judge ruled that obscene material could not receive copyright protection, the brothers kept going and eventually prevailed in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which would end up leading to the FBI copyright warnings that are now found at the start of all home media. The O'Farrell Theater was frequently raided on obscenity and other related charges, leading to over 200 cases being brought against Jim and Artie. According to Artie's daughter, Liberty Bradford Mitchell, the brothers were arrested and jailed more than 180 times each. The family referred to those episodes as business trips. They were defended by attorneys who included Michael Kennedy, who's portrayed by Jeffrey Blake, as well as civil rights specialist Joseph Ryan. On February 27, 1991, Jim, in response to demands by friends and associates to, quote, do something about alcoholic, cocaine-addicted Artie, drove to Artie's house in Corte Madera with a .22 rifle that he had inherited from his father, and he fatally shot and killed his brother. O'Farrell dancer Julie Bejo, who was Artie's lover at the time, played by Teresa Runstedler, immediately called 911, and the police arrested Jim just minutes later. Marilyn Chambers spoke at Artie's funeral, and he was then buried at Cherokee Memorial Park in Lodi, California. This was a very interesting film, and while I knew going in with a title like Rated X, it was going to be all about the adult film industry, I don't think I was fully prepared for what I saw. You know, it wasn't overtly, pornographic. And I've been trying my darndest to not use that term so that YouTube won't flag it. But it wasn't overtly an X-rated movie, as it was a TV movie. Granted, it was probably made for HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, something like that, but it didn't have any more nudity than your typical R-rated film. It wasn't, a overabundance of nudity and sexual activity. Nor was I really expecting that, if I'm being honest. I had never heard of the Mitchell brothers prior to this film. And if I'm being honest, I only watched it because Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez. I mean, hell, I'm wearing my Mighty Ducks jersey, 44 Fulton Reed, but I've always been a fan of those two gentlemen. More so Emilio, I think, than Charlie. But Charlie had his roles that I did enjoy him in. But I can sit here and I can rattle off, Gordon Bombay, Billy the Kid. I forget off the top of my head the name of his character in Breakfast Club, but like all these Emilio Estevez movies that I liked. And there's quite a few movies where the two brothers have appeared together that I enjoyed. Men at Work being a prime example. I adore Men at Work. So I watched this just because of that. You can't have much better chemistry on screen than with your brother, your family. Whoever it is, father, son, husband, wife, brothers, sisters, whatever. I watched it for that, and I learned something. I learned about the Mitchell brothers. Like I said, I had never heard their names before. And while I enjoyed the film, I'm not sure if it's something I'd go back and rewatch. It's a real crapshoot, and it's with that in mind that I give it complete middle of the road, 2.5 out of 5 stars. But enough about my opinion. Have you guys seen Rated X? What do you think about it? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comment box below. And let's have that conversation, that discussion, that discourse, that debate, the interactions, the engagements that I'm always trying to pull out of you, my loyal viewers. And let's discuss this film a little bit. But until next time, when I come to you here on the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel to bring you another episode of Renegades Reviews, another albumversary, another forgotten gem, deep cut, remix track, whatever the case may be. I have been your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, thanking each and every one of you guys for joining me and tuning in. I will see you guys next time right here in the theater.